to number 9, which is BOA 3031, case number 6614. This is for 311 Glenwood Street, Smith's Auto Imports. Renita Smith. Is she here? Name and addresses, please.
Hi, my name is Carol Buncannon. I'm with McCroy and Williams. My address is 3207 International Drive, Suite G. I'm here with the applicant, Ms. Renita Smith.
Renita Smith. The address to the location is 311 Glenwood Street.
So we're here today to request a variance at 311 Glenwood Street. There's a couple of variances that are involved in this. We have a use variance, we have a parking ratio, and substandard access and maneuvering variance. As far as the property, it is zone B2, and it has been used commercially for a very long time, and we intend to preserve the character of the property. She would like to use the property for an auto sales. The property will be the business will be run by appointment only. So that is the kind of unique for this type of business. It will be in operation Monday through Saturday, and she only intends on having one customer per day. So the traffic will be very minimal. She will be able to monitor who comes in and who comes out and at what times. That is not typical of your normal everyday auto sales type place. She plans on having some really nice vehicles here. As far as the access, this property has been, like I said, used for business for many years. It has had the same access. It's one-way traffic, and so there's nothing we can really do about that. That is a nonconformance that's been in place for quite a while. And that also goes for the access and maneuvering. There's a paved concrete pavement in front of the building where you can pull in, and where the nose of the vehicle faces the building, and then when you leave, you have to reverse into the right of way and maneuver in the right of way to get out. That is how that business has any vehicle has had to operate through that business for many years, and so that has been in nonconformance. So with that, we will answer any questions that you have. She can answer any questions about the business operation, and I can try to answer any questions about the site. Do you have anything you want to add?
Marie, has this particular property come up before us?
No, sir.
It was something similar in the same
There
across
is
the street.
across the street. There is in 2018 the board approved the same type of business.
But I don't think there were going to be any cars displayed. Was that the case?
I believe that is correct, that it was supposed to be an office only.
Right, and maybe a pickup. Yes, that's right. So this is not the same use. It's not.
Correct.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello, how you doing, sir? One of the things that I was going to say is I actually frequent the area. So everything that I'm going to tell you is not based on what's on paper, but this is just a reality. So when I arrived at and I purchased 311 Glenwood, it was a car lot across the street. It was also on the corner, it was a car lot. So you see the sign that's there that's facing Airport Boulevard says CNC Auto Sales. So when I looked on paper, I saw one across the street. On the corner, I also saw one that was active. Even if you look on the website, you'll see where they have the vans and things like that. And these are things that I see frequently. So I wasn't even aware that this wasn't that we needed a different thing. So I saw two car lots right there on the street. After a little research, I did find out that basically the same person owned that property, all three properties coming down the street. So he got approved basically at 308, but he was operating not only on 308, but also at 2103 Airport Boulevard. The one thing I wanted to do when I utilize any properties, I want to be honest with the board. So everything that I will legitimately be doing here, I would love to be able to talk it over with you. I don't think you really have a problem. I can see in 2018 the board didn't have a problem with having a dealership. What it was is they didn't want to have that unsightly part with the vehicles. So I'm willing to mitigate mine in the same way if it would accommodate you. I definitely have a bunch of property, so I could move it to an off-site location also if that came to pass. But I also have the ability to put those vehicles, those few 5 or 6 that I wanted to store, and just use the parking that I have in the back of the yard. I can even put a gate or something like that if that would suffice. But personally, I do see a park. Um, I do see one across the street from me and one on the corner. They're using all those locations. One of the things I noticed also coming down that street, we only have probably about 8 to 9 actual owners. Even though you have a lot of buildings, you only have about 8 or 9 owners. So they kind of have a monopoly in that area. You've got that B3, and they're operating B3 businesses coming down that street, even though they are B2 businesses. The thing that I suggest is why not just be honest and say, hey, we're overwhelmed with B3 businesses. Even the business that's to the left of me, 309 Glenwood, he asked for a variance for off-site parking, which you approved. Well, the off-site parking is nowhere near where any of the customers will come. So where do you think they park? They park in my yard. So being the kind of neighbor that I want to be and being in this space, I go ahead and I accommodate them. So the business that I was trying to put together with a tenant, which is my normal business, that failed because of all the large businesses that are surrounding me that the board has approved. So I went through the neighborhood and say, hey, what have they allowed? And I went with what has been allowed, and I have no problem with you giving me your suggestions and telling me any stipulations that will make you feel comfortable with the business that I intend to run.
Okay. Now, as far as on government, the existing car lots, those are non-conforming, I would think, because it's not B3 on the government side, is it, Murray?
That is correct.
Yeah, which are, I was by them the other day. What eyesores. Horrible, but anyway. All right, any questions of the board for the applicant or her engineer?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
How long you been in business?
Sir?
How long have you been in business?
Well, I've been doing real estate for about 25 years. I've done exclusively just real estate. So all I do is buy and hold, and I rent to people, lease to people, and things of that nature. I've run into something a little different with this property. I did try to rent it, and I kind of ran into some problems with the neighbors, and so I felt like, hey, I could just run something here and, just make it just enough to keep myself moving, especially with, property taxes rising and things like that. I don't want to find myself in a bad place, and I felt like I could do something and bring something to the neighborhood. So I just felt like it was something that I could do. I didn't want to start it large. I wanted to start it small. I want to be an asset to the neighborhood just like I am now. I can still accommodate some of that off-site parking that they want to use, and I don't have to worry about all the complaints. So I didn't ask for a complete change. I didn't want to change. I don't mind you looking in on my business and saying, hey, this is what I agree to. This is what I don't agree to. I'm willing to do all those things to accommodate the business and accommodate the neighborhood. I don't plan on doing anything but being an asset.
When did you buy the property?
I would say I bought it probably about 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay. And so it hasn't been used since then
It has been used.
by you?
It has been used by me and another person, but I had to let it go with them because of the complaints that they had.
Okay.
So that was the biggest problem. So I tried the best I could to mitigate that. And it's just, you can't be everywhere. And the way that I'm able to navigate through something is not the way that somebody who's paying me is able to navigate. They're telling me kind of like, get this done. And I kind of felt like I was running into like an angry space when I'm trying to tell people, don't touch my property, don't do this. So I was like, you know what, I can do something and accommodate you. It's not a big deal. I had an idea. Let's try it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have a question for legal. The challenge with what she's trying to do is the parking, the number of cars or vehicles she plan on having on the property. What are we?
What's the zoning, for one thing? The zoning.
Well, the application for you before you today for consideration is for primarily the use, and then once you consider the use, you've got parking ratio, and then the substandard access and maneuvering to consider as well, which those are non-conforming now. So if today's application were to be denied, the property could still be used for a compliant B2 use and not be required to get variances for the other items. So the use is the big item to consider for this application.
Yeah, Mr. Morris, because the use they're asking for falls under a B3 classification, and this is B2.
Also, you stated you can make those adjustments if necessary,
Yes.
couldn't you?
Yes, sir, I can make the
And would that
adjustments.
comply? Would a business still be compliant if he made adjustments?
Well, automobile sales are not allowed at all in a B2 by right. So if y'all want to consider the allowing of the auto sales at this location, it's up to you if you feel that there are conditions that may be appropriate to make that less impactful to the community.
I'm also willing to do exactly what the place did across the street at 308. I can be given those same stipulations and give me a year to try that, do it that way, and actually put the vehicles off site like he's proposing, like he proposed and was able to do. And then if that works in a year, maybe I can come back and re-come before the board and ask them if they would allow me to put maybe 5 vehicles on the property.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman. So I do remember the application across the street. Right now, that's listed as an insurance office. What are they running out of that location?
Well, and I gave her a picture of it, the actual place. So they did an application at 308. And I don't want to say anything about them because I think
Yeah,
they've done exactly, like I have a piece of property over here on Kilmarnock and Catherine Street. I do the exact same thing. Sometimes when you run 2, 3 operations at one time, you kind of like, oh, I'll just use this or I'll use this. I don't think it's against code or anything like that. But what they did was they're actually using 2103, which is part of their parcel. So if you go there, you'll see that big sign there, and that's where they're actually running the
But
car
that's
lot.
not owned by them, right? They just lease it? Because the Pops people own the 2103.
That's who have that sign, and we have a picture of that. That's who has that sign, and those are the same people that, when I talked with them, they said they had ownership of 308 Glenwood. I know recently in 2023, I was doing some research last night, and I know it was just recently sold in 2023, and it had like it had a different name. I can't think of it. Dixie Design, something like that. So they just recently sold it to someone else. And what they're trying to do is they're selling the house, the warehouse, and everything because they're trying to clear that land and try to create more parking and trying to put a warehouse back there. So I'm not sure they may actually be going ahead with that idea with what you've already allowed in that placement. So they may be coming back to it. I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. So
Yeah. I will say, because I was on the board when they did that application, and I just have a real negative feeling to have cars that are that are displayed out there. I think to me, it just seems like from my time on the board that gets abused, even for what we approve on main thoroughfares like Highway 90 and things like that. If there are site restrictions and things size wise, and to then take that and put it on interior streets and zoning areas that do not allow that, to me that's just a bad precedent to set. And I know that when we did that application, we were very firm about them being able to sell cars, bring the car there. There were limitations to that. If they're abusing that, that would be something that would bother me based on what we did. We set up parameters, but that would need to be cleaned up. But I'll just tell you, just for me, I would not be in favor of having cars displayed for sale.
And I'm okay
location.
with I'm okay. When I read the report with what you approved in 2018, I could understand what your stipulation was. I know what you're trying to preserve, and I'm on board with doing that. And I'm willing to, like I say, do it 1 year. You're more than welcome to ride past to see if I've done anything wrong, and if you find anything, then you retract it. And I say that openly and honestly.
Okay, any other comments from the board?
I do just want to let the board know that across the street, 308 Glenwood was granted the use variance in December of 2018, and it was subject to the conditions that the property shall be used for clerical or office uses associated with automobile sales, as well as there shall be no storage, display, or sale of vehicles from the location. So that might be something to consider as well.
Okay. And ma'am, if I'm not speaking for the board, but if the board elected to grant a partial variance, basically,
Yes.
or variance with those stipulations. Could you live with that?
Yes, sir. I can live with anything that you go with.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone in the audience in favor or opposed to this application? I will say that that the staff received a comment from George Katranis, he and his family own most of the loop, and he was against that. But and then there was one more, so I think that was the only two. I think we have a couple different options here as far as the board is concerned. You could deny or you could approve, or we did set a precedent, I believe, across the street. So if it's the feeling of the board that they would like to approve with those same or other stipulations, then the board's welcome to do that. Any discussion?
I have a quick question for staff. With the restrictions that were put on 308 that you just read out, Marie, is that not just something that's allowed in B2? I mean, basically, it's just an office at that point with all those
You're
restrictions.
still selling.
Auto sales are again not allowed by right in the B2 district. It requires a minimum of a B3 district, and that generally is because we have had instances where vehicles do show up on a property after a certain amount of time. So we're very
Didn't you say
cognizant of that.
in those restrictions, no sales would happen in the premises?
On the site across the street, it was that no storage, display, or sale of vehicles from the location, that they only do office.
They're doing the paperwork portion of it.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Yeah, Taylor, I think that is the intent of the
office.
of the ordinance that that car sales have cars. That's generally the case. So I think this is just a little bit different. But with that being said, any more discussion of the board or a motion with or without conditions?
I motion to approve with conditions.
Those conditions would be?
Let's see.
Could they just could we say mirroring what was done?
Conditions that were done for the
Yeah.
location across the street.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion with conditions. We have a second?
Second.
All right, properly seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. All right, number 10, we've got BOA 3033, case number 6615 and 5728, Persons Development and Construction. The applicant here. Name and address, please, sir.
Andrew Hodges with Rowe Engineering and Surveying. I'm here to represent the applicant, and the address is 3502 Laughlin Drive, Suite B. Our applicant is requesting a variance, a use variance to align with an existing use variance that was approved back in 2011. The existing use variance that was approved in 2011 applied to the previous PUD at the site, which consisted of just lots A, B, and C. This year, we had a PUD approved and a subdivision to join what is now lots A1 together and bring it into the PUD. We're just requesting that lot A1 now be granted the right to use the storage yard that was previously approved for the existing PUD.
Okay. Any questions of the board for the applicant? Yeah, I will say that one of the issues that we've dealt with in the city with B3 is lack of the ability to put lay down yard, which has been approved many times. So I think we should address that in the UDC, but there were other things that were addressed. Okay. If there's no questions, is there anyone in the audience in favor or opposed to the application? All right. Thank you, sir. Any discussion of the board? Chair, take a motion.
I'll move to approve adopting the findings of fact, A, B, and C.
Okay, we have a motion. That's second. Okay.
Second.
All right, all in favor of the application, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I think you're up. This is application 3035, case number 6617, 5101 Government, Ryco Signs.
Good afternoon. Jennifer Jackson, 3345 Halls Mill Road, Mobile, Alabama, 36606. Today, I'm here to speak with you about Our Savior Lutheran Church. They have been in the community for over 50 years, and they've been a safe haven for many. Currently, they have a manual reader board. It's one of those that has the tracks and you slide the letters. It's very outdated. It's rotted. It's been rotted by the sun. We are proposing to put, that's called an ECCB. It's one of the smallest of my electronic message centers. It only shows red text. It's the least bright of all the spectrum of what I carry. I will tell you, I've put boots on the ground on this property numerous times. When you're staring at the church straight ahead, you have to drive way into the property, and there's an apartment community behind the church. However, the church building completely covers up the sign, as well as the sign runs perpendicular. So if the said residential area was right here, they would see the side of the sign. Across from the street directly, if you look as well, there's only a wooded area. So there's no houses that would get this in their light, in their front windows. I believe the sign would also adhere to the objectives of Mobile. I go to a bunch of Chamber of Commerce meetings. We have initiatives to beautify Mobile. I feel like this sign will definitely give the property and the surrounding area a facelift. So yeah, does anyone have any questions?
Any questions of the board? All right, thank you. Anyone here in the audience in favor or opposed to the application? All right, that being said, discussion. We've dealt with churches and these signs several times. The one that comes to my mind is the one on Azalea Road. I think it was a very similar situation where nobody could really see it, but it was within that 300 feet
That is
designation.
correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, and of course, the electronic sign would have to comply with all ordinances regarding electronic signs. Any discussion of the board?
Well, to channel our absent chairman, want to make sure it dims in the evening in the static.
That's why I said it would comply with all the local ordinances. I was trying to not do that. Okay, thank you. With that being said, Terrell, take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to the stipulations I just mentioned and the findings of fact.
About time you did something.
Yeah, other than second.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we're CJ. Okay, we're on 13. This is BOA 3036, case number 6618, 1062 and 1066 Wood Alley. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
Gary Grandison, 4316 St. Andrews Court.
Yes, sir. Tell us, why should we consider your application?
We're requesting a variance because the property, there are two dwellings on one parcel. The property, there's record that the property was in existence as early as 1940, before the annexation into the city of Mobile. And so I was required to request this variance because we could not find a record of someone living in those residences within the past 2 years. So the grandfathering that normally occurs in a situation was voided. So I'm just requesting a variance so I can renovate and upgrade the current structures
Okay, so it's your intent have you bought the properties?
Yes,
Okay, so it's your intent to fix them back up and use them as rental properties?
yes.
And then the problem is because you had to pull an application, it's not required, it's not, two on one lot is not allowed under the current zoning. All correct? Okay. Any questions of the board for the applicant?
I've got one. I was reading in the staff report that that a possible better solution than variance would be having them subdivided. Is there a reason that you didn't go that route as opposed to having a variance?
Time. And I just want to renovate the current properties. So actually, there was a third structure there that was demolished 2020, I want to say. And there were 3 properties there, but someone recommended, hey, you can rebuild a third property there. But that's not my interest. I just want to renovate the current property.
So if they'd been in use, then it would be under a grandfather situation. But
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering why not clean it up all at one time and have them subdivided. Thank you.
Looking at the site plan, if he subdivided, it may trigger needing Board of Adjustment approval for setback variances. It's possible.
Well,
probably front yard, I would think.
I mean, it's non-conforming as it sits, and they're not allowing him to reconstruct.
yeah, as long as they're not changing the footprint of the structure, the existing setbacks are considered non-conforming. So if they were to do subdivision, one or both of the lots may be substandard in overall size, but it's within the Planning Commission's ability to grant a waiver for that aspect.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You said time. What the time factor have that's causing a challenge to you?
A lot. In terms of my master plan, exceeds beyond this. When we talk about funding, you talk about, of course, we all will probably understand the subs lining up, help our workers. Just a lot of dynamics involved with the planning. And when you get good workers in place, you want to get them going because they may go on to another job, especially someone's as small as me. I don't have have to find subs and find quality subs. And there are dynamics involved that I was like, okay, well, I got good people. They're lined up. I just have to get past this phase so we can move forward and complete this project.
So if you were to get approval today, you'd pull the trigger and start working
Well,
once you get permits.
Yeah, have to get the permits first next. So,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
And then also they're speaking with organizations. They need housing, so they're like, hey, please let us know when you get going, and just let us know.
Right, Mr. Miller.
How long have you owned the property?
Sir,
How long have you owned the property?
a few months.
A few months.
Just acquired it. Yes.
Okay. And just, I guess, Marie, out of, comparison, if he had gone for a rezoning, I mean, they're timing-wise, what's that? I mean, a subdivision. I mean, there's not much time difference between that and this, except you.
So when staff was reviewing the application to place on the agenda, the possibility of a subdivision had been mentioned, but like Mr. Granderson had said, time was mentioned as a concern, and so he chose to proceed with the variance application rather than going the subdivision route.
And I'm just timing-wise, the difference,
So
30 days, 60 days?
It's approximately it's a very similar time turnaround. Just the alternating of the Planning Commission meets towards the middle of the month, whereas the Board of Adjustment meets at the beginning of the month. So there is a little bit of a difference in that, but it's generally about the same time.
Yeah, but you'd also he would.
Today is the deadline to file for the October Planning Commission.
Yeah, but he'd have to have drawings completed by a surveyor or engineer. Yeah, and you got to survey it too. So that is quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah.
More so than just the application time. But anyway, any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience here in favor or in opposition? All right. Discussion of the board.
Yeah, I agree that the survey will take a lot more time and be more expensive and cost prohibitive. Renovating vacant structures is already almost a cost prohibitive event. So I think anything we can do to help speed this along would be.
I personally agree that I don't see where putting an additional step on the applicant, both time and expense, would really gain any, improve anything, because there's two buildings there. They've been there, but that's just my personal opinion. Any more discussion on the board? All right, Chair will take a motion.
I'll move to approve, considering findings of fact A, B, and C.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Get started. Oh, that's right. That's right. 15 days before you start. Sorry. I was just trying to push my own. Okay. Number 14 on the agenda, BOA 3040, case numbers 6619 and 6515, 5761 U.S. Highway 90 West. Casey?
Hello, Casey Pipes, 150 Government Street. I've got this application and then the next one, number 15. This one is for a special exception to allow outdoor dog kennels at a pre-existing vet facility. We had this approved back in 2023 on a use variance. There's also a landscape variance, which is the next application. Y'all granted both of those, and one too many balls up in the air and it slipped and we didn't get it extended. The same property's gone to the Planning Commission for a subdivision, had the service road in front vacated by the city, and they just ran out of time. But they've got plans submitted with the city to start the work that was previously allowed, but the expiration of the previous special exception and landscape variance is holding it up.
Casey, is there any difference between what you're asking for now than what was previously approved that it had expired?
No.
It's all the same?
Same.
Okay.
Well, what's changed is since the last meeting, the lot's been carved into two lots.
Because of subdivision?
Because of a subdivision, but the bulk of this is all what's called Lot 1, which is all the same. If anything, the frontage is a little bit shorter because of Lot 2 behind it. It's a wet area along Rabbit Creek, and Lot 2 is just never going to see any development. But that subdivision happened since your last meeting.
Okay. And it has been approved?
And that was approved, and that's fine, and that's been recorded. It was just an oversight to let this expire without getting an extension.
Gotcha. Any questions for Casey? No? Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience either in favor or opposition of this application? Being none, discussion with the board. We'll call for a motion.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
All right, we have a motion. We got a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, sir.
You want to do 15?
Yeah, we got to do this at 15. Same thing.
Motion to approve.
Yep. We have a motion. We got a second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. That motion carries as well. All right, we're getting close. All right. I know. Well, it's because we don't have any dang water. We don't have any water. Was that your fault, Victoria? Okay. All right, number 16 is BOA 3044, case number 6622 and 3995, which is 5301 Moffett Road. And this is a special exception. And special exceptions, don't they have to be ratified by the council, or is...
No, sir.
No. Okay.
Just the board.
Just us. Okay. Thank you. Is the applicant here? Come on.
Bruce Smith, Coles Murphy Glover, 457 St. Michael Street. It's my understanding that staff recommended a holdover for the next meeting, and we're fine with that.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for the applicant on the board? None. Is anyone in the audience either in favor or against the application? None. We will can take a motion for a holdover. And what are you asking for? Next meeting? Time-wise?
Yes, October 7th, I believe, was the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we will take a motion on granting a holdover to the October 7th meeting. Have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. We got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You got 30 days. Is this the last one? No, we got 18. Okay. All right. This is number 17, BOA 3046, case number 6623. The address is 4067 Bayfront Road. Sarah Duncan. That must be you.
Hi, I'm Sarah Duncan, 3812 Bayfront Road. This is my husband, Alan Duncan, same address. So we are applying just for a height variance to the maximum height to 37.5 feet instead of 35 feet. The unique variables of the lot, we've got some old oak trees in the western part of the lot. And then where build site is in a VE FEMA flood zone, which requires a pretty high. I think we're at 15 or 16 feet above. So that pushed our build to about 2 feet.
Are you going in, out of curiosity, are you going any higher than what's required?
No.
I'm just curious. Okay. All right. All right. Any questions for the applicant from the board? And is anyone in the audience in favor or in opposition to the application? Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Any more discussion from the board? All right. Chair will take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second? I'm
Second.
asking for a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion carries. Thank you. Now, okay, number 18 is BOA 3072, case number 6624. Location is 7170 House Ferry Road, Grafton Communications.
Afternoon, Ron Sullivan, Grafton Communications, 2918 Claremont Avenue South, Birmingham, Alabama, 35205. Here today on behalf of American Tower and T-Mobile regarding an existing cell tower site on Howells Ferry Road. This tower is a concrete pole that's existing and is no longer capable of holding the equipment that T-Mobile needs to install to cover the fairgrounds. And so we want to replace the existing 144-foot tower with a new 144-foot tower in a similar location just south of the existing tower.
So no additional height, just replacing?
Just a replacement of the existing pole.
Okay. All right, any questions from the applicant, from the board? All right, thank you. Anyone in the audience in favor or in opposition? None? All right, Chair will take a motion.
Move to approve.
All right,
Second.
we got motion and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Well, hey, we moved it on through, didn't we? Yeah. All right. Is there any other business that we need to do?
Yes, sir. We've got the approval of the minutes from the Board of Adjustment meetings from the December 4th, 2023, June 3rd, 2024, and July 8th, 2024. Those meetings were sent out to y'all previously to review, and I believe they're at your place to sign.
Okay. Any changes or additions to the minutes? None being made, then Chair will take a motion. We had a second?
Second.
What are those findings of fact? Okay. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Doug, anything? All right. By the way, speaking of, I forgot to do that at the beginning of the meeting. Oh, that was worth it right there.
We got to start over.
They got to start over.